if you're working in another job, how did you prepare yourself to start working for yourself?
The biggest thing, sitting there with 2 kids, you're married and, you've bills to pay and it's a big decision to make. And I would say more people are negative about it when you tell them your plans. I think I just got to the point where I stopped telling people my plans because you get so much negativity. Definitely self-belief, I would say, that you could actually do this, but it does all come down to finances. At the end of the day, you're going from a stable job with a monthly salary and there's going to be a pension in the end to leave to potentially nothing. I saved and saved and saved, paid off the mortgage, bought a lot of secondhand tools, and that way I looked at it was, if this doesn't go as well as I hope it will, I was quite prepared to go out and get a job or do what I needed to do. At the end of the day, I had a family to support.
What about you? And welcome to the Roots to Revenue podcast, the podcast that helps small businesses grow. Before we begin, I have to tell you about the sponsor of today's episode. I use Jobber to run my own business. I've used it for the last 10 years. It does all my scheduling, my invoicing and my quoting, but best of all, it gets me paid faster and my clients love it. If you want to try it out, there's going to be a link down in the show notes, www.premierlawns.link/jobber, if you want to try it out for 20% off your first 6 months. So I'm Robbie.
I'm Jason. And just to let you know, everything that we talk about in these podcasts can be used in any business or in any industry. And today with us, we have Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Nice to have me along. Thank you.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I'm Jeff, owner of Mowtown NI. Just a small sole trader guy working in Northern Ireland, based in Saintfield in County Down. I'm basically operating, I'd say, within about a sort of a 10-mile
For our viewers, although the Mowtown NI should give it away, what sort of services do you offer, Jeff?
The Mowtown NI is very much, as I love the name, it's a real play on words that captures people's imaginations of the business. But I would say I've spread out. I do a lot of mowing in the business, a lot of lawn treatments. I would say you got to work with the seasons, so I do a lot of pressure washing, a lot of soft washing, a lot of hedge work, maybe too much, as well.
Some of the areas we cover was sort of overlapping. I know in the past I've passed it.
Certainly into,
but just before we get too much into what you're doing now, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and how you originally started off?
Okay, going back, hitting that half-century mark, later this year. So started back when I left school. I went into engineering and later into motor vehicle.
Yeah.
That was my background. It's something that I never fully continued with for different reasons, but
whenever you're young, you do different things.
It has never let me down. It has never let me down having a mechanical background. From there, I started kind of probably about the age of around 19, and I worked for the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, based in Castle Espey there in County Down.
Nice spot.
Beautiful nice spot, 64 acres, mix of lakes and woodlands and paths. And there, again, very, very seasonal work. So in the winter time, a lot of construction of paths, bridges, a lot of forestry work, a lot of work with the birds. But that's where I really gained my hand in sort of outdoor maintenance.
Yeah, good practical work.
Yeah.
I was a greenkeeper for 20 years before I started working myself. And our seasons were, so in the summer and the spring through the autumn, it was just flat out grass cutting.
Yeah.
And then the winter, but like yourself, lots and lots of
lots of maintenance. I would have been
maintaining all the equipment, all the ride-ons and the tractors and things like that, having the mechanical background again, you know.
And
so,
how long did you do that for?
That was nearly 11 years, but again, it was in a very small setting, and I felt as I got progressed in time, I couldn't go any further within that, you know. So.
And you left to go to another job, or let's say a stressful job? How long?
Certainly more.
How long
more
were you
office based?
How long were you in that role for, Jeff?
I was in that role for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say I was planning my exit strategy, as I call it, probably for the last 5 of that job.
So you were in 10 years. What age were you whenever you were in?
From the ages of 30 to 45.
Okay.
Yeah.
So round about 40, you were getting really itchy feet thinking, I want to go and work for myself.
Yes. And you really don't have the self-belief. I think when you've come from an industry or you come from a mindset where you've been an employee all your life, to become, you have to be the boss, you have to organize everything. It's a big thing. And when we talked a little bit earlier off camera, I said there was there was one other YouTuber, if I can.
By all means, John Ryan.
Can mention him. John Ryan, who many will know. I think was just as I call a small time regular guy who gave me the belief that if he could do it and showed what he was doing, that I could do it as well.
I'll be honest with you, John's one of the reasons that I started up my other YouTube channel, Premier Lawns. I seen John out doing it, and I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. We've currently got a cameraman that helps us with this, and Ricky, the cameraman, actually. Ricky actually did my first video, and then I'd said to him, Rick, can you help me make more videos, because that one was really popular? And he says, look, I'm too busy doing other stuff now. And I thought, oh God, I could never make a video. And then I went on YouTube and I seen the likes of John Ryan stuff doing it, and I thought, well, if those boys can do it, I can have a go at it myself.
I think the difference is what YouTube shows me from the sort of mainstream media is it's real.
Yeah.
And it's warts and all. It's what works, what doesn't work.
I'm an influencer. I never set out to be an influencer. I'm nearly an anti-influencer a lot of the time. A lot of the time I'm in grubby clothes and the hair might be a bit messy. We filmed another podcast recently and my hair was all over. I don't know if that'll be before this one, but yes, with YouTube I just film it, and it's warts and all, whatever.
And that's why I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people enjoy YouTube, because you get to see a lot of things, although you don't necessarily see every take.
Well, I would say if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't have had that sort of personal knowledge, of running a business and things. You wouldn't see it.
So you had your itchy feet at 42. Did you do any training courses to prepare you for self-employment?
I honestly didn't, because I had that background for so long. I don't think I'd ever really stopped doing gardening work. Well, there was literally only just for myself or for friends and family. So
you had a little thing running in the background.
In the background, yes. Always building your skills and the information's out there. So if I want to know how to do something, how to better myself, I can read, I can find things online,
If you're working in another job, how did you prepare yourself to start working for yourself? Because you were sort of midlife.
I would say midlife, and the biggest thing, I'm sitting there with, 2 kids, you're married and, you've bills to pay, and it's a big decision to make. And a lot of people I would say more people are negative about it when you tell them your plans. I think I just got to the point where I stopped telling people my plans because you get so much negativity.
Whenever you're first starting out and somebody's saying to you, you're asking people, what should I charge? And somebody that doesn't necessarily work for themselves, they've always spent their time employment for someone else. They're used to, let's say the going rate is £10
an hour.
It's £10 an hour. You say to somebody,
you charge.
I'm going to have to charge £30 an hour. And you're like,
no. Yeah.
No. No one will ever pay. No one will ever pay that. But they don't take into account all the extra stuff
and you don't see the running costs even in 1 year. It's a balance of over the years. That's what I'm finding. You don't buy a van every year. You don't do this every year.
I can remember even my first year in business. You were making money, and I wasn't charging anywhere near what I should have been.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I was making a fortune, and then it came to the end of the year, and it's like, I've made what? It's crazy.
I know.
So it's not just having the money for the tools.
Exactly.
It's having the money to replace the tools as well. Yeah. That's a real key point that I think a lot of businesses fall down on.
And to pay yourself.
To pay yourself. So
exactly.
What sort of mindset changes apart from YouTube did you have to?
Mindset changes, definitely self-belief. I would say I think YouTube definitely helped me with that, self-belief that you could actually do this. But it does all come down to finances.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going from a stable job with a monthly salary, and there's going to be a pension in the end, to leave to potentially nothing. I saved and saved and saved. I would be quite a sensible person, sort of in that way, not rash or whatever. So paid off the mortgage, saved up money, bought a lot of secondhand tools.
You were lucky to get the mortgage paid off before you went in. Oh, very good.
Yeah. Waited for my wife to go back off her career break. So I knew there was going to be one guaranteed wage. And that way I looked at it was, if this doesn't go as well
as I hope it will,
Yeah.
I was quite prepared to go out and get a job or do what I needed to do. At the end of the day, I had a family to support.
How long, Jeff, would you have given that? Would you have given it 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years?
I think knowing that the industry is very seasonal, even though you could have a very good spring and a summer, when you hit your first winter, it's very different. Yes, I must admit, when I hit the first winter,
My first winter, I actually got a job as a gardener for a local council.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, I think my first winter, I was working with a couple of different tree surgeons.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, it's a linked industry, and I enjoyed it, and it got me out. I'm not the type of person that can sit around for long, as well.
Yeah. So how did you market yourself back in the early days?
I'm a guy that sort of notices vehicles and businesses and things, and you would have seen a lot of vans about and said AA gardening service, or call himself JJ gardening services, or whatever. And I thought it's too easily forgotten.
Yeah.
It's even long before choosing the name, the Mowtown NI, which, as I tell people, it's a play on words.
It's very strong,
but it's
very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah.
As far as then the early marketing, I was very lucky to have a good friend who's a multimedia lecturer who teaches students who are all like 16 to 18. He was able to set them a project. They were able to design me a logo. They were able to design me leaflets that are used as flyers and stuff. So I could choose. Yeah,
you got a full marketing.
I got a full marketing package. Yes, exactly. And he understood the industry, and he set me up, with business Facebook and Google Business and Instagram and link this that. I didn't know how to do it, but
you had to pay a small fortune for it. You had to pay a small fortune for it.
I realized that. Definitely in business, it's good to have contact.
I hope we got a nice bottle of whiskey out of that.
Yeah, so that was sort of the clever part. Again, having leaflets. We talked before about having time rich but cash poor.
I think that's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing with leaflets.
So went out. You know what? They don't do that well, but they're better than sitting on your backside.
Yeah, it's even amazing. Whenever I first started up, and I used to do my flyers, and I tried to do a lot of flyers on Saturday morning, and you'd see people out in their gardens, and it was a chance to hand them the flyer. If you could hand someone the flyer and you say, "How you doing?"
Definitely.
I'm Rawway from Premier Lawns,
Personal
and you take
contact.
one of my flyers, and they say you get a bit of talking with them, and then before you know it, you can make a sale there really quick than just putting it through the letterbox and walking on.
Yeah, and you talk about building brands and stuff as well. That's why one of the very first things I did was getting the van liveried. He says it gives people that little bit of confidence. Every time they see you in their cul-de-sac, their street, they're seeing your logo, your thing, and they go, "Oh, my neighbour uses it." It gives them that little bit of confidence. I think, for them to even come up and people approach you, as well.
A tip that I would give anybody just that's thinking about starting up, and if you're thinking about doing flyers, there's a process called clover leafing. So the houses where you're working, you want the flyer in and around them, but don't just do it the once.
Exactly.
Every time you're there, once a month, just flyer all the houses in the cul-de-sac, because what you'll find is you get a flyer through the door and you put it in the bin. You put it in the bin.
Without looking,
You put it in the bin and you forget about it, and that might happen 2 or 3 times, or somebody might they put it in the drawer and then they get another one, and all of a sudden, whenever they need that job,
you're
the person to think of. You're the person to think of, and to know that you're regularly in the area is another thing. You're not just someone that's fly by night, flyer in.
I think certainly in the gardening industry, there's that whole trust element, and the vast majority of my customers are elderly.
Yeah.
So to have that sort of trust element, I think that people know who you are and who your business is, and that their neighbours use you, and the neighbours are happy. It inspires that confidence with them.
Used to be whenever I was out targeting houses in the early days. You'd go to the roughest garden and you go, "I'll put a flyer through that door."
Yeah, I know. But
they're not.
No. I didn't realize that
they don't care about
they're
the
not the
garden
customers.
beforehand.
They want everything done for nothing.
They're not your customer. Your customer is someone that likes a good garden, but is prepared to pay something to get it done.
Exactly.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
What would you say your biggest challenges were? Because were you early 40s or?
Yeah. Well, next month marks 5 years in business.
Yeah.
For Mowtown NI. So I was 45 when I hit, the business start. Definitely the mindset Mindset's a big thing. Yeah. Not having the belief in yourself, you know.
I suppose it's stopping the doubts creeping in.
You go and you look at your bank account very well, and at the end of the month, you know there's no money coming into it except what you bring into it, and that
minus expenses.
Minus
expenses,
expenses, and that is scary. That is scary, but it's overcoming that, knowing that. And someone's told me, I says, do a good job at a good price, and you will never be short of work. And they were entirely correct.
Yeah. And you think that's just to play on. Did you do any training courses, or did you have any mentoring whenever you first started up?
I didn't. I did see that there was different councils holding things. There was nothing ever available in my area that I'd ever seen.
That's really disappointing.
It is disappointing. and then there was the whole COVID time as well. You know, where there was basically nothing happening. I was very lucky. I was able to work, you know, continually right through.
Did you work through COVID?
I worked. I didn't miss a single day. I was very lucky. You know. I'm not saying it wasn't challenging, because what did everyone do with the waste? I brought it home, you know. I composted everything, you know, at home, right. You know, for months, you know.
That's a useful feature to have.
the land to do it, you know. Otherwise, you know.
And did you find COVID was good or bad for your business?
I personally think it was good. There was a lot of people who were then working from home. A lot of people seen you about who wouldn't have seen you about because they would have been out working every day. You know, and now the people still continue to work partially from home. It's bad to say, but I did all right out of COVID.
That's all right to say. I did all right out of COVID as well. You know, I was able to grow a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There's my other channel, but I don't think it would ever been as big as it was. All of a sudden, there was millions of people locked in their houses, and they're all wanting to learn about their lawns. And so
I was one of those people.
My wife had been ill, and I needed to be really careful.
Yes.
She's all right now, thankfully. But I needed to be really careful. So I took the other approach with COVID.
Yes.
I wound things down quite a bit. But then I focused on the videos.
Yes.
And a lot of people were just asking me questions about how to look after their lawn. And I leaned into that. And then all of a sudden that took off on me. And here we are.
Here we are today.
Here we are today. So
you know?
COVID was really good for me.
Yeah.
I've had other customers says, like, I know a lot of my customers have their own businesses, and some of them say COVID was really good for them. Other people says that was terrible. I know people lost businesses and stuff from it, you know. But
I lost one customer through COVID because he said, Jeff, he says, I can't justify me being here 5 days a week and you coming to cut the grass, you know? Yeah.
So how did you manage the transition going from your stressful job to starting, like, working in your business?
Okay. I would definitely say it wasn't a start-stop thing as many people would think it was. Over the past, I would say 4 to 5 years of the planning, I'd started to buy a lot of secondhand tools. I had bought a trailer. I had bought a van. So I was slowly transitioning towards, as I call my new beginning, you know.
So it was almost set up for you.
It really was. I think to go from a start into a stop thing would have been a lot harder. It would have been a lot harder, you know. When saying that, I was putting my own money into the tools, into the business, but you know, it's going to be me that, you know, sees the benefit of it. You know.
What tools did you start off with? You said you started off with second-hand tools. So did you go to the pro tools, and then what sort of tools did you start off with?
I think I've seen enough tools over the years to realize, you know, the good makes and worked with good tools. So I realized I was far better off buying good second-hand tools, you know, of Husqvarna, of Still, of Echo. You know, I had a very good mechanic from a local business who was able to offer me trade-ins and things, you know, up until the point where I was starting to make, you know, the money and could justify then retiring that tool as a backup and then investing in the business. So
you do a lot of lawn mowing. We don't really do a lot of lawn mowing anymore. What do you use to cut the gardens with?
I'm a wee bang guy. Yeah. Bit of a wee bang convert. I know there's a kind of a Marmite lawnmower, you know. People love or hate, you know.
Yeah, but some people swear by them.
I would say, you know, I'm not doing high end, you know, lawns, so I'm doing day-to-day stuff, and I find it's a good robust machine.
And
you know?
do you roll, or do you just is it four wheels?
I'm a 4-wheel guy, yeah. And I have hater mowers, but I keep them just for myself.
Yeah, haters only good if there's no due.
Yeah.
And how long do you keep the tools before you write them off? Or because you're obviously quite a handy guy, would you have in your books that I'm going to use this lawnmower for the next 3 years and then I'm going to write it off?
Yeah.
Or would you just use it?
Yeah,
until
for three years is probably about the limit for the amount of mowing I would do. It's just not feasible when you start to see the money you're putting into a machine while it's new. New wheels and new drive systems in them as well. So definitely.
And then you just sell that and then stick it on eBay and then go again.
Very often it becomes a backup. It's you have to start doing things when it becomes the backup to the backup. You know.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice having. It's nice having the tools, and then it's nice having the backup tools as well. 100%.
Or it becomes what I call like a more rough machine, as well for those jobs. You're not 100% confident that there's not, something lurking in that long grass.
What's in the future? What do you say? What do you see for the future? Because it says to me as well off camera about them.
Yeah. If you had asked me about the future,
yep,
at age now nearly 50, but asked me about the future, say 25 years ago, if I had set up a business, I'd be looking at staff. Yeah, definitely, and build a business. It's not a lack of confidence now. I would say it's more realistic that to me, time and family has certain more importance than money.
Yeah, staff are good.
Mm-hmm.
The staff are also bad.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of if you get a bad one, it can be
it can be
really stressful.
Make or break your business. Aye. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Future plans. I would say not taking on work that is very physically demanding.
We dropped all the big hedges.
Mm-hmm.
I made that choice last year. There's no more big hedges, and lots of people says to me, "Well, sure, Jason here, he's still a young fella."
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I am.
But I know how hard they are on you.
Yeah,
they're really hard on you, and it's just in a lot of ways it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
it's just not worth it. I have a dicky back, so I need to be really careful.
Yeah,
having a dicky back as a gardener isn't always the best thing, but
I've seen in the arborist industry as well, and I would have these questions with people and say name me all the climbers who are over the age of 50, and they can't.
It's amazing. One of my mates does climbing for a living, but he doesn't do trees.
Yeah,
he's on an oil rig, and he's on really good money. And he doesn't I don't think he sees himself doing the climbing for a long time. The skills are exactly the same, but the money's totally different.
Yeah.
Although he calls it jail because he's away for
long periods of time,
3 weeks at a time, without seeing the kids. So I suppose there's pros and cons to it, but the money, even though the climbing's the same.
Mm-hmm. So future, I would say I call it my sort of slow transition to retirement. Retirement for me will never be stopped. I don't think it'll ever stop. In some capacity.
Aye. I'm a self-confessed workaholic.
Yeah.
I'm not happy unless I'm doing something in my time off. I was away on holidays and I'm still working.
Yeah.
I just can't even. The wife would be like, "What are you doing?" And I go, the work's still there.
Yeah.
You're answering emails and getting on, but
So my transition would be the less. Okay, the little cliche: work smarter, not harder. Not taking on those big, physically demanding, 2-day tasks. The big hedge reductions, the big jobs.
And the bigger lawns. Although, do you have a ride-on for that?
I bought my first ride-on last year, so I did a day of ride-on work as well.
And obviously that's a lot easier on you.
It is, but also big gardens come with a lot of strumming the boundaries as well.
Strumming and big hedges. And,
big hedges and, driveways and stuff. So again, I think it's just, I think you got to pace yourself.
You do.
As much as anything, because anyone in this industry, and you know the industry, and you do look around, and I would say the average age of a lot of guys in the industry is 40s.
Aye, 40s. Yep. And then
I don't know.
I don't want a position where I have to start driving a taxi in a few years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't do the work anymore.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely being smart about things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just I suppose you're in a really good position anyway because you have the house sold off.
Yeah.
Again, you have the house paid off, and you can pick and choose the work.
Yes,
you've been established for quite a while, so you can choose the work that comes to you.
Yeah, I think that's being smart. Just generally as being a self-employed person, is make me, people talk about, oh, you've paid this off, you've done that. And you go, well, I didn't buy a car. I didn't go on that holiday you went on. People would ask you these questions saying, and I didn't spend, £150 in those pair of jeans that you did. So to me, it's all about the decisions you make, it takes you to where you want to be.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So that was definitely that for me, No.
Just to invest the money you have, invest in yourself, invest in
wisely.
Yeah, invest wisely.
Yeah.
Aye. We talked about off camera ban new tools, and you're saying now that you're sort of at the stage where you're thinking, well, if I invest that into the business as a young man, you would go for it.
Yes,
but
exactly.
As somebody that's maybe getting closer to the age of retirement, you're thinking I have to get.
Yeah, you're thinking that money could be better used for holidays or other things. I think
you just want to get the best bang for your buck, really, don't you? Yeah.
I think if I'd said to my younger self, what things do you buy, I would have bought 20 odd years ago. I would have bought a compact tractor. I would have bought a lot of bigger bits of machinery that would, certainly take the pressure off.
Yeah. Sometimes I think to myself, I need to move up a bit. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, where I live, I don't really have the storage for a lot of big tools, and that's held me back in some ways. In some ways, it's good. In some ways, it's bad. So it really focuses on the style and type of work I can do. Again, but like yourself, picking and choosing what suits you.
Mm-hmm. But then that comes through experience, doesn't it? As well, learning.
Yep.
Learning to say no.
Learning to say no is actually a really important skill if you want to work for yourself. So if you're listening to this and you're starting your own business,
yeah, definitely.
Learning to have a look at jobs and go, well, either I can't do that or I'd maybe better. I call it the circle of trust. So again, I talked earlier on that I recommend you for some work. I believe that you're best having a network of other tradesmen, not just gardeners, other tradesmen in other trades that you can recommend work to. And in turn, they'll recommend work.
Oh, definitely.
They'll recommend work to you, and it's all like a big circle, and there has to be a bit of trust there. Occasionally, some work has to come back to you, otherwise it doesn't really work. If I have a few hundred customers and somebody says to me, Robbie, do you know anywhere I can get that done? Actually, I do. Joe Blogs.
Yeah.
Give him a call. There's a very, very good chance that fella's going to get the work because it's come from a recommendation from me. So it reflects on me as well.
Well, I had that exact same thing last year where I have a very good landscaper guy who does great paving and fencing work. And I got him about maybe 6 decent jobs last year. And then he phoned me up and he said, please, he says, let me try and pass you on some work around. I said, please don't. Please don't. But thank you, but thank you.
Whenever I first started up, there's actually a local landscaper who I knew whenever I was younger. And then he says, oh, you're out on your own now? And I says, yes. He says, look, I'm going to pass you some work. He says, the way he did it is the way I do it for everyone else. He doesn't take a cut of my work. It's just a recommendation. And then any landscaping work I get, then I'll pass it back to him. And the customer gets the best deal then. So a lot of times now I'll pass work on that some people might say, well, I'll have a crack at that myself. But I would rather a customer gets a really good job done and then I'll get a good referral at another point.
What's he saying?
And that's
everyone's happy.
It's just a big circle and the customer gets a really good deal as well. I think
then it's about building business, isn't it as well?
People buy from people and networking.
Yeah. The people who have established business, please comment below. What age were you when you started? I think that's important, because a lot of people are thinking it's beyond them and it really is not. And for those who are hovering in the sidelines and haven't made that leap into becoming a business owner, also comment what age you are and what's holding you back.
So as your business has advanced, how has your advertising changed with that?
Oh, definitely. Social media. I don't do any paid advertising. I think, the company has that name now and that reputation, but definitely it's showing your work out there, be it on Facebook and Instagram, when you do lots of before and after pictures. At the end of the day, when someone comes along now, I think websites have come and gone. I still establish a website, still have it. I must admit I don't update it the way I should. When people want to see your work. And very often people will say to me, well, are you any good or anything? I say, well, there's my Facebook, there's my Instagram, there's the last number of years of work, and you can see the areas I'm working in and the quality of the work in those pictures.
I suppose it's easier to update on the social media than constantly change your website. Yeah.
You can literally do it from the comfort of your van,
I'd say not that many people go to your website anymore. Most people go to your socials. Yes, it has to be on your website, but most people are lazy and they'll just go to your socials and have a look and see what you are posting.
Exactly. Yeah. I maintain the website because I understand it gives you that presence. I think particularly as a small business when you're operating just with a mobile phone number, I think website, it gives you that sort of little...
And your
professionalism sort of attached
it definitely does, yeah.
Do you do the website yourself or do you pay someone to do that for you?
No, again, my good friend initially set that up for me, and he's left it to me to maintain. I'll say that maybe hasn't been done as well as it should. We'll maybe review that, certainly for this year. And a few updates.
And do you ask your customers for reviews on?
Yeah, that's always a difficult thing. And I've had a few people would say, I'll leave you a review and thank you very much, and they don't. I think that's a difficult thing.
Do you send them the link?
I don't. No.
I see you're slipping up there.
Yeah.
Jobbers actually, just to get we shout out my sponsors, Jobber have released an update to say that you can add you can pick what customers it goes to. Once every 6 months, whenever you invoice them, they'll get an automatic thing. Send us a reviews.
Yes.
Which is a really good feature. But I think whenever you're asking somebody for a review, or if somebody says, I'll review you, I'd send them an email, personalized email. Thank you very much. Really helps me out. If you could add it with reviews, if you can ask customers to leave a photo as well.
Yeah.
And maybe talk a wee bit about what the thing is. But definitely follow that up. Because
that reviews, good. The reviews are everything, as I call it, you remember, the term as well, social proof.
Social proof, yeah.
Social proof, because you're going to believe what other people say rather than what the company says about themselves.
And the Google reviews, because that Google police them with some review sites. I think a lot of people just go on and say, Jimmy says I'm the best gardener ever.
No.
John from such and such says, oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
But with Google, there's a bit more. There's a bit more weight behind it. So you talked about your website and Google, and I think that would lead us nicely into software. Do you still rate all your invoices? Do you use any software to manage your business? You don't necessarily have staff, so
no. I must honestly say I don't have software. I'm still a paper diary guy. And job lists.
How much time does that take out of your working week?
It does, I think there could be certain improvements made. I think I'm sort of sometimes happy with the detailing of work on the paper side. It's the collection of money side that I would find gives me difficulties.
The thing about Jobber is you can ask the customer to hold their credit card on file. Now, chances are I'm gonna assume that most customers are backsending you the money.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's a charge with Jobber. The charge here in the UK, I think it's, don't quote me, I think it's 1.4% plus 20p per transaction.
Mm-hmm.
I have that built into my price. I just assume that people are going to pay by credit or debit card.
Yes.
And for your regular customers, for my grass cutting customers, what we do is we add up all the prices together for their services for the year, and then we take that payment over 11 months. I have that set up within Jobber that I don't need to touch it. That money just it takes it and it comes in. You could also use Go Cardless, which is a direct debit system that takes it. The money goes in. You don't need to do anything, and it's just seamless. And what I found is customers actually really love it because it's one less thing for them to do.
To worry about.
Most people that take on a gardener are busy and they don't have time.
Right,
So you can automate a lot of stuff, and then for people that join me mid-season, if you're looking at me to do your grass cutting mid-season, I'll take your credit or debit card. And Jason does the grass cutting now. He goes to the customer's house, he marks job complete, goes off to his next job, and the system auto invoices, and 3 days later the money's in my account. It's a complete no-brainer. And I'm actually looking to put any new lawn treatment customers onto that plan. We'll just auto invoice, and then it means that it's not a big thing because most customers do pay on time, but it's just one less thing to worry about.
It's one less hassle, I know, because and as you talk about unbillable hours, it's done in the evenings.
Yep.
All the messages are going out. can I please have the money, you know?
Yeah. And then you're chasing up, and then has he paid and has he not paid? Whereas whenever it's through the system, they automatically get a receipt, and it's just one less.
I do see the benefits of it.
It frees up your personal time.
For lawn treatments, a must.
Yeah.
So we touched on earlier about your exit plans. Is there anything that you have in place, sort of that you're gonna the way you're gonna wind down work, or like you say, you're picking jobs more smartly? Is there anything?
Yeah, I think that's part. There's the sort of the physical side and there's the financial side, and neither of them works without the other. You know, if you don't put the work in, you don't get the money. But at the same time, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people over the years, and it's something I think is a topic for another podcast for you, is pensions and stuff, because in the self-employed industry, there's so many people who just do not have, their future, looked after, So I would say for me, it's about being smart and, understanding that I can't do the same physical level of work forever. Neither do I want to, So I call it my slow transition.
You told me off camera that you're now transitioning to another service. Do you want to tell the viewers a wee bit about what you're sort of planning to do for the future, or what you're doing at the minute with the wood?
Okay, one plan is firewood. What I like about it is being able to do it in your own time, planning it yourself, and the customers come to you, and then they use the product and they like it, and they come back again. So again. I repeat customers, and I would find there's very little advertising required once you have a good product at a good price, and then the message will always come in, you supplied my neighbour, you supplied my brother, my sister, whatever, You
have the space there to season. You have the space there to see.
I have the space and there, yeah.
Do you find you deliver it, or do the customers come to you?
I would say 99% of mine are deliveries. Yeah, because it suits me, because it's on my time. And it's something as well that you go, it's I call it money in the bank.
Yeah.
You know that next year the prices are going to be higher.
Yeah.
Unfortunately in this world we live in,
And do you find it's obviously it's very seasonal, but do you get any calls for wood during the summer?
I know that there's a summer market. Unfortunately, I sell out, that's why I'm trying to increase capacity this year, but I certainly know through pizza ovens, wood-fired hot tubs, campfires, chimneys. There is a summer market out there. It's just having the supply. Unfortunately, living in one of the least forested countries in Western Europe doesn't often help.
Is it wood that you've cut down yourself through the business, or
a small amount through the business, and the rest would be through making good contacts in business with tree surgeons as well. Those, they end up with really just too much to deal with.
Could you see yourself investing a lot of money into machinery that would make that job easier for you?
Yeah, that's quite physical. Yeah, certainly within the lines of tractors or firewood processors and things, And again, the way I look at it is it's a business that I could possibly set up and sell on to someone, or pass on to someone, even within the family, to whoever, to continue running as well.
Gardening businesses generally aren't worth that much.
Yeah.
Although we recently had somebody in the podcast that built a very good business that he did quite well at, and he sold it on, but all his work was contracts with large
commercials,
public bodies.
Got guaranteed money that you're
guaranteed money. And I think a lot of people with gardening businesses, they think that their business is worth a fortune, whenever actually it's not really worth anything.
No,
which is scary.
I know.
Your pension plan might not be just what your pension plan is.
Yeah.
I suppose that the firewood business would be, that is your pension, going to be your pension, I guess, then going forward.
Part of, yes.
Yeah.
You could potentially end up employing. A staff member, but it would need to be somebody younger that's quite fit and
able to do that. Yeah. Yeah, I've had my daughter out with me doing deliveries and things, and she realised the benefit of going out, and customers take well to that, and she gets tips. And,
Jason gets all the tips with me.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't get any tips anymore. The joys of being a business owner, But listen, Jeff, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Good man.
Yeah.